Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to do up downs until Blue is no longer tired and thirsty. Oh my god, that's that. I feel like that. Every time somebody says something stupid, it's like Denzel Washington. You must be outside your mind. Like I don't know that. I thought it was so funny as a kid hearing somebody say that because I've never heard somebody say that before. Like I I don't know, and the delivery of it too is just like, who says it like that if they're gonna say, I, and it, dude, it just that every time somebody says something stupid, I think of that.
Yeah, I mean, because of that movie, I learned how many feet were in a mile, and that after finding out, Petey had to pick up the ball and run every single one of them, and that's just something. I mean, you're killing them. You know what I'm saying? You can't be killing anybody.
Which was a harder line? You're killing me, Smalls, or you're killing me, Petey?
Damn. Whew.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah.
We just froze, guys. He's frozen.
I'm frozen. I would say, God, you'd have to say in pop culture, it's You're Killing Me, Smalls.
Yeah.
But You're Killing Me, Petey. I mean, someone tells you that, you're slightly disappointed in yourself. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah. I honestly, I think one is more like, really dude or really nigga, and then the other one is like, you're killing me, Petey.
Yeah, like fuck, like he might literally die right now because Petey keeps this up. You know what I'm saying? You feel his pain.
I don't know why that shit's funny as hell. That just popped in my head. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Like I guess even conversations like this where we're kind of just revealing a little bit like that, where we get those conversations from the other fighters and we start to realize like more things about them. One of the things that I love the most is when we're done talking with the guy and we talk with them more off camera. And I don't know, because I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're stupid during your interview or anything like that. And it's not even like we say that stuff off camera either. But it's like something will be said. And it's like, you think that, and then we'll like talk more about it and stuff. And it's like you start to understand, like, I don't necessarily believe your move is like inescapable or whatever style we're talking about when we're breaking down fights or we're talking about other fighters and stuff like that. It's like, I don't necessarily believe you're right, but when you explain why you think that, I'm like, oh shit, maybe he understands a little bit more about the game, or maybe this person has a lot to fucking learn, you know. But like all of those things are things that I love, like finding out and everything and stuff. And then when you talk with somebody, especially when we're talking to a lot of the amateurs, and they say something that they kind of believe to be true, either off camera or on camera, and then they go into their fight, and you see them trying it, what they believe to have been true, and then ultimately having to flip and change and do something completely different, and then pull off the win, shock themselves by letting themselves, like, one, that they can do more, and then two, what you're good at isn't always going to work. And when you see the change and when the mind starts to open and you see it in the fights, and then you see it the next time you talk to them, you get to hear it when you're giving them their next interview. Like, I can't explain that feeling. It's like, it's like being a coach, except for I'm not the one teaching you the moves. I'm just getting the one, like, get to see you actually develop, like, every single step of the way almost, you know.
Yeah. It's an odd spot we're in because exactly a lot of the conversations we have, because the show is one thing. A lot of the conversation we have is off. It's not being recorded, and we talk to these guys, and they do feel more comfortable explaining stuff to us. And like you said, you'll hear guys, they'll go, "Hey, this guy thinks I do jujitsu. I'm gonna knock his block off," and you're like, "Oh, okay," and you're like, "You sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping it low. I'm not telling anybody, but just watch." And then you wait 2-3 months, and all of a sudden comes out throwing heat, and you're like, all right, and you see those things, those growths. It like you said, it's almost like being a spectator. Like we're kind of in the rafters watching everything, and you get that little bit of information, and it's so awesome watching it play out, and just seeing guys grow, and just even seeing guys grow on camera from having, the first time we talk to them to the third or fourth time we talk to them, and how relaxed guys get. And that's ultimately what the mission is. Like you said, the goal is to get them to outgrow trash talk. You got to be ready for those big time interviews. So when you see them comparable with us and just shooting the shit with us, it's awesome to watch and see how relaxed these guys get.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. And then I don't know. It's like what you said. One of the things, it's like sitting in the rafters where we get to see everything. We have a perfect view of the ring, the locker room. We get to talk to you guys in the locker room. We get to dude, we have so many connections with so many people, and the invitations to go into the gyms, to open rolls, to spar, whatever. It's great. But one of the things that I don't like is that no one's checked us yet.
Yeah.
No one's came out and been like, I try to keep myself in check every day. I never want any bit of my integrity to go. Excuse me. Anything that one fighter says to me isn't something that I'm going to go say to somebody else. Whatever you say on camera has been said, but if something's said off camera and you don't want me to tell anybody, or people want to give me secrets, because one of the things is, everybody loves giving their inside information, especially myself and TJ. People think they're granted, a lot of the times you guys are winning us over when you say shit like that. When you guys well, here's the secret. I've been working on this and I've been doing that. Dude, I love hearing that shit. And I love knowing that I don't know. I love being able to accurately match up the fight in my head, because both guys have said something like that to me. But I don't go tell the other guy. And then ultimately, you shouldn't be telling us shit, because I'm in a position where I could go tell anybody I want that stuff. Granted, I don't, but that's the type of stuff where I'm I want people to check us and stuff. If there's any scent of us, I don't know, being fake towards you, or saying you think that we leaked your information or anything like that, check us on it, even if it's not true. Just fucking A. It's gonna keep us in line. I feel like I do a really good job of it already, but man, we're the longer we do this, the less we can be trusted. And I'm dude, I want everybody to fucking trust me though. I fucking love this.
100%. Like you said, I love the way you ended it by saying the longer we do this, the less we should be trusted. And ultimately that's the truth, because that's the truth in any scenario. The longer we do this, the more relationships we're going to build with fighters, the stronger bonds we're going to build with fighters, things like that. But like you said, try to check ourselves. But if you do see it, say something. See something, say something. But I think that's a testament to how we are able to call it down the line and, say what we think, or say what we see rather than what we think. And that's what the difference is when you bring your opinion. I guess opinion is needed. But when you bring unfactual opinion, you have to make an opinion or an educated guess off information you have. And that makes something, valid worth saying. But you don't see the behind the back stuff, or, us going, well, I like Damian, so I think Damian's just going to go in there and head kick this guy. You'll never see that. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where I might like Damian, but I also understand that guy's fucking tough. So if Damian ain't on his P's and Q's, he might get beat up. And if he gets beat up, my job is to talk about that. Not in detail. It's not to rub it in. But ultimately, we're here to talk about fights. So there might be times we say stuff where people, they don't agree with it. But as long as it's fair, as long as it's factual, there's not really much you can say.
Well, there's a prime example, because we did an interview with a fighter, not going to say his name. And even if I did, I don't think they'd be mad at this point. It's been done. But anyway, we did an interview with the fighter, and they had told us off camera that they had been working on their jiu-jitsu. They're going to show everybody their jiu-jitsu. No one's going to expect it. He doesn't care what anybody's belt is. Basically all that stuff. I'm not quoting this fighter. But anyway, then when we were doing the breakdown of the fight, I was talking about how I thought they matched up on the feet because that's where I thought the fight was going to go. He got mad that I didn't mention his jiu-jitsu. Well, I'm basing your style of fighting off of the last fights that I had seen. You know, I'm like, you can do all of the stuff you want in the gym, but that's not until you see it in the ring, you know. And then he ends up winning by a fucking TKO in the second or third or some shit. And it's like, yeah, dude, I'm like, I'm not doubting that you're working on your jiu-jitsu like crazy, but I just like it's what they say in fighting. You're only as good as your last fight. Well, I can only believe you're going to do what I've seen you do before.
Exactly.
You know,
it's one of those things where, and you almost feel weird saying it sometimes because you don't want it to come across as, like I said, offensive. But you see, if your last 4 fights, you've been knocking people out, I'm going to talk about your knockout power and how you're knocking people out. And then they're like, well, yeah, you know, I got good wrestling too. And it's like, well, no, I understand that. And we haven't seen it yet. If you go in there, I mean, you put this guy through the mat on some WWF shit, I'm going to be like, damn, that guy has the craziest double leg I've ever seen. But, I mean, as of right now, you got some paws on you. And I thought I'm being nice by saying that. And, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where it's like, I got to call it how I see it. It's a fist fight.
To put it bluntly, and I hope that this doesn't sound insulting to anybody, but I'm not going to talk you up based off of what I heard. No. I'm going to speak on what I've seen because I've heard a lot of great things about a lot of fighters that got their ass whooped. And I'm not even trying to talk shit about anybody who's gotten their ass whooped. It's like these fighters were supposed to never lose, and they either struggle to win or they get ran over. And it's just like, I can never be one of those people that just like sits here and is like, oh, I've never seen TJ fight, but TJ's brother's telling me that he's a monster and that he has a crazy chin. It's like, so I go spew that? Like that, what is that? It's one of the rules of journalism. I can't remember. I'm blanking on what it was called. But yeah, you know what I'm talking. But you can't. Yeah. You are not supposed to do that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. And I heard an interesting quote. I actually just heard this today, so it's really popped into my head, and it's such a fresh topic. It was Felicia Spencer, who's fighting in the UFC main event this weekend. But she said a quote where she said, "No fighter has ever had their best performance in the cage. Your best performance always in the gym. I mean, when there's, it's a different feeling. There's." I mean, whether you're a guy who says you have zero nerves at all, there's a different feeling. The lights are brighter, the people are watching. It's a different atmosphere. The ring's hotter, and you perform best in this gym. So, I mean, I can hear a lot of things about guys in the gym, but all we can talk about is in the fights, and that's the reason why one of the key things that, I mean, one of the rules you put down day one is you have to have some fights before we can talk to you, because beforehand, at that point, with all due respect to everybody and all their training, without seeing it in action in an MMA cage, it's hearsay. Oh, that guy has good jiu-jitsu. I wonder what he would do. I wonder how that would go until we see it in action. And one of the prime examples that's popping in my head right now is we talked to Jackson McVeigh. I mean, I heard about that kid for like 3-4 years, how good he is, how great he is. As soon as he had his first fight, that's the first thing I said. Dude, I've been hearing how great you are. It's great to see how good you are. And when you get to see it in action, it really exemplifies it. So, I mean, just,
yeah, dude.
And that's just,
Yeah. Well, I can't remember where you had said something that made me think of something that I was like, dude, that was good. But it's just it's exactly what we've been saying. We can't talk about you like, I mean, we can't talk you up or talk about how good you are and stuff. And when you're in the gym, when you're fighting, when you're training and all that stuff, you could have good sparring days, you could have bad sparring days, you could do really good against some really good people all the time, but then not show up to the fight. And I've seen it. I've rolled and I've sparred with some people that you would think like, dude, you could be a killer. You could be a killer. And then as soon as the fight is actually going on, they don't perform the same as what they do in the gym. And then on top of that, and those are the ones that show up, and there's no disrespect, no dishonor in it. You know, it's just something's different that allows them to not perform the same as what they do in the gym. But then we have some guys that are just like all about it. They talk about it. They walk the walk. They talk the talk. They're dedicated. They come to the gym. They are studying film. They're studying all this stuff. And then they don't show up to the fight. They stop answering their phone during weigh-ins. And then they just hit ghost. And then, like, I've seen that. Like, some guys that I was like, I would have vouched for. I put my name on the line for a few guys that have done some shit like this, and I don't put my name on the line for fucking anybody. Oh, man. Like, it's personal to me. Like, you know, I feel like we're getting a little bit too far away from the actual point of what I was saying, but like,
no,
yeah.
I feel like I got you 100%. And it's something about, it's the honor in showing up and scrapping. And that's what I love. I mean, is it great to see guys win? Of course. But do I think differently of a fighter when I see them lose? Absolutely not, because they got in there and did their thing. And I mean, as a fan, as a spectator, and as someone who, I mean, I guess like you always say, I guess technically we're media now at this point in time. It's like, man, I love seeing this. So when a guy shows up and performs, there's so much that goes into it. So, I mean, that's why this is the best game in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that about wraps it up, because I don't think there was a topic or a point, but I feel like we made some good points for not having a topic. So, been Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. TJ, remind them what not to do.
Don't leave the light on at night, and don't be a hoe. And there's a moth flying in front of my camera.
I thought it was a bird. It looked all big and shit.
But most importantly, don't be a hoe.